what I say to people, Snapchat's probably like the biggest kept secret in the industry.
What's the most you've seen from a Snapchat payout in a month?
Probably 500, 600k. Yeah, honestly, anything is possible, man, in this world. Because again, I think we live in a world where you're told no, don't do this, don't do that, and everyone's tries to dictate your life.
What do you think is the biggest mistakes that people are making nowadays online?
Not starting.
What is going on, people? Welcome back to the Ceocast, the #1 podcast for showcasing business entrepreneurship. Special guest today, we've got Ahmed from Dulce Society. How you doing, my brother?
All good, alhamdulillah, bro. Thanks for having me, man.
Thank you for coming on, bro. Traveling all over the world, so I'm grateful that we can have you here in the studio in London and get this podcast done, bro. But
overdue, man.
I think naturally, I've said to you on WhatsApp as well, I've been an inspiration of what you built and the platform you've created. And I think it's going to be interesting for audience as well, because a lot of them naturally are not in that industry, and they might just see a platform / Instagram page and think, oh, that's great content, but is that actually making a living for someone?
Of course, yeah.
So I think diving into the deep aspects of that is going to put people's eyes on it and think, okay, right, this is serious. Maybe I should build a platform and inspire them one way or another. But if we just have to give a breakdown, the first thing I want to ask you is, when you started to build Dulce Society, or when you went into it, the idea, what was the mainframe for you? What was the message you wanted to put out?
Firstly, if an inspiration started, kind of came from, I wanted to start this in 2011. So when I was 15, 16 at the time, and I think London, there's a lot of things happening in London. We had the London riots. I think in that specific time, university fees increased from like 3,000 to 9,000. And I realized back then, there weren't really a platform for young people to really speak about just many different stuff. And I didn't start. The fear of starting something new, I was super young back then, and so I didn't start. I wish I did.
What area in London did you grow up in?
So Islington.
Okay, so you grew up in Islington.
Yeah, so Islington.
Okay.
So and I wish I did, but I didn't. But then a few years later, kind of just courage. I picked up the camera and started telling stories of just everyday people across London, and just kind of turned into what it is today. So yeah.
What was the fear factor of you not starting back in 2011? Why didn't you start?
People, bro, and it's so sad, But I think when 15, 16, I was just fear of what others would think, family would think,
Because back then no one was really doing it like that.
No, and then I really got one of my biggest inspirations back then was what Jamal Edwards was doing with SBTV, and how powerful that was. Being able just to go over camera, and people will be doing their music, singing, rapping, and then you're seeing the ads on Richard Branson, the Google Chrome stuff. Like it was powerful. Yeah, so I was really inspired by that.
No, fairs, bro, fairs. And then obviously you've built it to where it is now. So if we had to put it down in numbers, what are the numbers saying? Followers. So
across socials, you probably have around 6.5 million followers now. Last year just crossed over 10 billion in views. So numbers across socials. So
yeah, big numbers, bro, big numbers. So obviously there's a whole storyline and a whole aspect and structure that you've built in place to make sure you can get those numbers. So from the very, very get-go, do you even remember the first video you recorded?
Yeah, I remember the first video I recorded, even the first person I spoke to.
And who was it? What was it?
So it was in King's Cross, and it was a person who was cleaning the streets. The reason why I remember specifically this person in my very first interview is because it took me about 3 hours to speak, just to approach one person. I couldn't do it.
What, as in like you were on the street with a microphone?
I was on the streets with a camera at this time. It wasn't really iPhones, and just literally a camera. And I couldn't approach anyone to ask them to tell a story or a question, and I couldn't do it. I was scared, petrified, honestly. It took me 3 hours to speak to that one person, and for some reason this guy, I don't know, like just felt like I had good vibes, good energy. And I think my first question was to him was like, what's your message to the world? And from there it was just like, because literally just kind of opened the whole world for me.
That's interesting, right? Because you still carry that question on today. Yeah,
of course, man. It's powerful. It's what we kind of started with, and it's an important, it's an important message, getting people to kind of talk about, what's important or what their message is to the world. So yeah. So
on that note, what is your message to the world?
My message to the world? Good question. Kindness, man. I think the world needs more of it. Being kind. And the reason why I say that is because even when we do a lot of our street interviews, you should never know what someone's going through, man. Like, you should never know. You walk through the streets of London or New York or wherever you are in the world, like everyone's going through something. Like everyone, But you should never know. So that kindness or that smile or that interaction that we provide, that those society people, like it's powerful. And I think it's why we've been able to kind of build what we've built. Because even when we speak to people, man, it's just a smile.
Do you put out every video that you?
No, not every video. Our backlog is probably 1,000 plus, man.
What's the criteria?
Amazing stories, powerful stories. Just stories that we feel like people will be inspired by, and also stories that are less opinionated. So we realize stories that people kind of, talk about their opinion, like more or less it will cause like a debate in the comments. But when it's a story about like you can't argue someone's story or what you've been through or your journey, you know? So people always kind of feel inspired by it or many things. But like when it's someone's like opinion on X, Y, Z, I think this should be this way or this happened because of what I think, like it tends not to do well or do well, and it just causes like a debate within the comments.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but the people you approach, they're just complete total strangers on the street.
All random strangers.
Which is what I think the dope thing is, because, you know, where I've got a platform where I'm speaking to people who are in such high positions, or they might have some sort of clout on social media, a huge following, whatever the case may be. Yours is the total opposite, where you can go up to a stranger, ask them questions, and it gets the views that a celebrity would. How have
probably
you...
even more.
Yeah,
I
probably
think
even more.
The random people probably do better than celebrities.
Why do you think that is?
Because people don't expect it, like a random person to have such a powerful story. Do you know what I mean? Going back to just like, you never know what people are going through, honestly.
Yeah. And I bet most of the time they probably say, oh, this person needs to get on socials and share the story. Of course, what's their
socials, or, you know, how can we find them, or how can we support this person?
Yeah.
Like the stories that we get from the streets from different parts of the world, like it's just powerful. It's amazing.
What's the most inspirational story you've heard?
So many, man. So many. Probably one specific guy that we spoke to in London, talking about, I think at the age of 6, his mum left him in a place called Skid Row in LA, just randomly, you know. So he was left in Skid Row. If people don't know, it's like this. It's like a borough, like if we're talking like London terms, like a borough of like just for homeless people. So obviously his mother dropped him here, and he was, you know, 6-year-old on the streets of LA. But long story short, he's playing, you know, professional basketball in Europe, you know. So, but it's just kind of, you know, crazy to me to, you know, hear someone, you know, homeless in the streets, you know, no family, to, you know, go on to do great heights, you know. So the idea, pretty much, I guess his whole life, you know, people were telling him no, and probably didn't feel love, but still be able to kind of go on and do amazing stuff. Like, it's powerful. So,
yeah, that's an inspirational story right there, bro. But here's things that get interesting, right? I want to kind of break down the whole business side of it. So when you first started out, when you first got into it, was this an idea for it to be a business, or was it just, I want to make this sort of content to spread to the world?
Yes and no. I knew I wanted it to be big and make money of it. Business, I wasn't too sure. So when I first started, I would put my face in it and I'll try to build like a personal brand around it. Yeah. But then I think 2-3 episodes in, like I just stopped.
Why?
I think the idea, for me, even to this day, I've told you it's my first podcast, and I've been building those for like 7 years now. Do you know what I mean? It's my first time kind of really speaking about the journey, and I didn't really have a passion to tell my side of the story, you know? Yeah. I was always inspired about other people's stories and how can I help other people's stories kind of reach out there. So, and I just quickly realized, I just didn't want to do it. I realized there was more power in me telling other people's stories and myself kind of introduction. And there's, as you know, there's 101 ways to build a business or build a podcast or whatever. There's many ways, and I felt like this way was just the right way for those of society. So I kind of took a step back and let the people tell their stories, man. So
I think it's an interesting way, yeah, because you don't have to be the one behind the camera all the time.
And that's how I build a business. Yeah, because again, if I was in front of the camera all the time, it wouldn't be a business. It would be a personal brand, and it would have been obviously, I'm sure, lucrative and brand deals, etc. But like I quickly realized, I don't know if I intentionally said to myself, I need to make this a business, but you know, things kind of play in many ways. But yeah, that was one of the distinguished factors.
You've essentially made it exitable, which is sick. And like I was saying, you know, the fact that you don't have to be there. For example, your friends can be in London, you could be in Dubai or LA, wherever it may be. You could be running Delta Society videos everywhere all at one time. You may recognize obviously whose voice is whose. I think, you know, when I watch your videos, I can probably distinguish if you're asking the questions or if someone else is. I think most of the time it is you. But you could easily run the videos all over the world, which I think is pretty sick, and then build a whole global platform simultaneously.
That's what we do now, man. So we've got a team in New York, team in LA, see London, parts of Africa, Middle East. So now we have a team just around the world, kind of creating hundreds of content a week.
So Delta Society, how many people involved now?
Big grand scheme of things, probably about 20 plus, 22, 23.
And that's across New York, Middle East.
Yeah. So yeah, 20 plus across the board.
So when you started it and you wanted to make money, what was your idea to make money from it?
No clue.
You just thought, okay, I'm going to make money from it. Because even when I saw...
what? Yeah, like I realized, and I can't remember, someone told me this, I understood that you have an audience, eventually you'll be able to monetize. Whether it's through, you know, merch or providing a service or whatever it is. So I just knew if I just grew this, then there's attention, there's something to sell eventually. But I didn't know what that was at the time. So I thought, let me just build and figure this stuff out after. Because I feel like when you try to go into stuff and you try to figure out how am I gonna make money at the start, or like, and you don't make money at the start, you just end up just quitting and probably just try and make money, through a job or whatever. So the idea was just all through passion first.
Let it free flow. That's literally, when I think about it, exactly how I started the podcast. It weren't really making any money in the beginning. I just wanted to do it because I wanted to do it. I knew it would make money at some point, but if you're trying to sit down and figure out all the plan and business plan,
it doesn't work.
It just puts you off.
And it put you off, and it doesn't work. Like even when people ask me like, business, like, just don't plan, just do, man. Just go out there, create, have fun with it, and you figure out after. You can't figure out at the start, especially when you tasted or tried or done anything yet. So
I actually don't know too much as in the backbone structure of it, right? So what was the first time you got paid from it?
So our biggest breakthrough, I'll say, it was 2 moments that changed everything for us. Probably 3, but the first one is getting into like a Facebook incubator. So we applied and we were like in the world of Facebook, in the headquarters in London for about 6 weeks.
Okay.
And it really taught us how to really build on socials.
What year is this?
2018.
Okay, and you started in 2013, you said?
2011 is when I first started. 2015 is when I first done it as like more of a side hustle. So it wasn't like a media company.
Okay,
It was under my name. But in 2017, it was unofficially turned Dose of Society. But I had kind of 2 years where it was just me just having fun filming and more of like a personal brand. So that was a big moment because it really taught us how to use Facebook, how to utilize platforms like Instagram, to get inside knowledge in terms of how that works. So that was a big thing. And the biggest thing after that, a year later, is investment from Snapchat. So we applied.
What year is that then?
2019.
Okay.
So we applied. At the time, I think they were investing in 10 businesses every 6 months. Then it got to every quarter, but the whole program stopped. But back then, it was like every 6 months. And we were, I think, there was 10 of us, but 300 plus applied. We were the ones they picked. And after we moved to LA for 6 other months. And yeah.
Let's break this down because Snapchat, I'm going to come to in a second because I think that's really, really interesting what they've done as well. But the whole Facebook side of things, why is it that you applied for it in the first place?
As you know, 2017, 2018 times, Facebook was the biggest thing.
Like
big. Like everyone, that's where...
Are we including Instagram into this as well?
No. Instagram was just pictures back then. Instagram was just pictures. So the biggest thing, as you know, to become a creator was Facebook, obviously, and YouTube as well. So it was always like Facebook or YouTube, and we'll do YouTube, but YouTube just wasn't working. YouTube was hard to crack, and Facebook, like, we kind of gained small traction. I think we had like 10k followers in like the space of a month, So when we applied to this Facebook incubator, and they wanted us to kind of come in, like, I quit my job, everything to do it.
So I don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was young, so I was like, I was 21 at the time. So I was working. So after I graduated university, got like a job like in the city for about 6 months, maybe 5 months. Then this Facebook opportunity kind of came along. And just jumped and just do it. And that was only 6 weeks. They weren't paying us to be there. Nothing. But I knew the opportunity was
so
big
you were there
enough.
for 6 weeks in Facebook?
Yeah, just 6 weeks. Yeah, it was a 6-week incubator.
What's the biggest thing you can remember from that point that you could tell me right now in that for 6 weeks? The most important thing, should I say?
At the time, it was you had to utilize ads and how to
Facebook ads.
Facebook ads. So they gave us credit and we utilized ads, and we grew a lot on Facebook back then because I think it was super easy. Things work a little bit different, but they gave us like, I think, God knows how much, but a good few thousand to play with, and had to just pump money to get views and grow followers, and it worked. But yeah, I think most importantly, rather than the learning part, is the people I met. Like, I'm still in contact today. Like, people within Meta or Facebook at the time who are in other places. That's what changed everything for me. More than, because again, these platforms change, man. Like, what I've learned then doesn't work, wouldn't apply to where we are today. You know what I mean?
That's the confusing bit, because these platforms, algorithms are changing all the time. Or Instagram comes out with a new feature, Facebook comes out with a new feature, same with TikTok and everything. The algorithms always changing for whatever reason, I don't know. So then you adapt into that. Is it just a case of messaging someone who works at the platform?
No. To this day, everyone, like, speak to anyone, that they will never tell you that algorithm thing is true.
But
I mean, yeah.
Would you say there is, or?
Yeah, of course, man. Things change. Times change.
Yeah.
Obviously AI now, and so things will keep evolving.
And then the Snapchat thing is interesting as well, because correct me if I'm wrong, but how old are you now?
I'm 29.
Okay, so yeah, only a couple of years older than me, but I remember there was a point where Snapchat pretty much had died off, right? And then from what I heard, one of my friends told me that people from the Middle East or Arabs bought Snapchat, and then they were just investing heavily into paying people to be Snapchat creators or paying businesses like yourself and investing in many different areas to get eyeballs back onto Snapchat. So what was that whole conversation like?
So yeah, so that part I'm not too sure about Arabs buying it, or not too sure on that part. But at the time, in terms of going back to the investment part, yeah, so Snapchat were actively investing in different businesses, from media to tech. And I think for them, looking back in terms of why they did it, I think it was just taking bets on interesting businesses that they can hopefully exit and benefit from.
So what was your deal with Snapchat? What did you have to do?
It was a funny one. So we had to, again, similar to like Y Combinator, which I'm sure a lot of the audience probably know about. Yeah. Where we would apply, we would obviously submit like a video in terms of who we are and our plans and, a mini business plan. Yeah. And yeah, they got back to us, email saying, hey, congrats, like you're through to the next stage. But this one, we need you to fly to LA and pitch to us. Yeah. But obviously they weren't covering anything, no flights, no hotel, nothing. So,
and to put it in perspective, how much money was Dose Society making before that?
Nothing, bro. We didn't make a pound.
Okay, so
we had probably about 5 to 10k followers at the time across our social media platform, across Instagram at the time specifically, maybe 10, 15k on.
So in the past 5 years, you've built it massively then.
Yeah, for probably 3.5 years, probably realistically. Yeah, things I really kind of kicked off. The first few years, as I'm sure you know, man, like it takes time, man. Yeah, like, it takes time. But when we got that first initial investment, well, I don't think we even literally made a pound, like from like a brand deal and whatnot. Yeah. So yeah, we had, like I said, take all maybe across all our socials, maybe 30k followers.
What I'm saying is that opportunity to fly out to LA and pay for flights and hotels, that's all coming out of your pocket.
Not my pocket thing. I had someone who can offer me to cover.
Okay.
So I had nothing. Yeah. Obviously, yeah, times were tough, man. Like building it, putting everything into the thing. So I didn't have much, and that was thousands. Obviously, going to LA and couple nights.
That's what I'm saying.
Then pitching, not knowing that you're gonna obviously if it's gonna happen or not. Yeah, so like it was obviously an investment. Obviously, lucky I had good people around me at the time to kind of help support and invest in me and believed in me. So it was all risk, but like that. I think that was that's the fun part, like just the not knowing stage, and like. Could it be? Could it not be? Yeah. But when you're kind of in the midst of things and like things are kind of stable and whatnot, things get a little bit boring, I guess. But like at the start, like it's just exciting, I
want to come to this point in the podcast and kind of backtrack and go all the way back into your story and your journey, right? Because as you said there, you had built nothing from Dose Society in terms of money. When it come to the LA trip, you had to borrow more money from someone else. You grew up around Islington. What was your whole upbringing like, bro? What was life like?
Yeah, I think
childhood, all of it.
Yeah, no, thankfully I had amazing parents, amazing siblings to kind of kept me grounded.
Where are you from originally?
Country Eritrea.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, like kept me grounded in terms of just keeping my head down. But obviously, in and around, as you know, like living in London, inner city London, is like everything's kind of around you. Yeah. But always, man, my head was always just down, man. I always wanted to do something different, Always, as you know, you need to know how to maneuver growing up in London. But for me personally, my head was just always kind of focused on wanting to do something. Always.
Were you creative?
You know what? I wasn't a creative like in my early secondary school years. Yeah. Towards the end, that's when it kind of really was like, I need to do something. And I think one big thing that kind of impacted me the most was watching like The Social Network.
Okay, the film, yeah.
So that kind of like that opens like, whoa. So this is what tech is about. This is how people have to kind of do this and obviously create billion-dollar companies. Yeah. Because obviously, again, growing up, I knew obviously Facebook was here and all these other apps and MSN and all these other stuff growing up. But do you know what I mean? But you didn't understand the crew was behind these things, how they created it. Do they make?
What's it in for?
Nothing. Yeah. So obviously, we knew nothing. We're just using these platforms. Like thankfully, we grew up with Blackberries and all this stuff, and there's amazing things to use, but. Never did I really think about who's behind these devices or the behind these tech. And after when again, The Social Network was the first eye opener in terms of what tech really looks like or what the world of entrepreneurship looks like. So that really opened my eyes.
Do you know what was my first eye opener? Yeah, I think I can't even remember what year it was. I was definitely still in school. But when BBM came to iPhone, I thought in my head, obviously I didn't break it down logistically, but I was like, okay, there must have been a deal with Apple and BlackBerry for BBM to come onto iPhone. They've seen the popularity of it and they've probably bought it from BlackBerry or the rights to the licenses, whatever the case is. I didn't do any more research into that. I wasn't that interested in it.
Made you something clicked in your head thinking, yo, what's happening?
Yeah, and then I started learning about, business exits in school and stuff like that. And then that was only my thought of people building these pages or anything like that. Are they doing it to get data and exit, or what is the actual strategy behind it, sort of thing? But I think, as you said in the beginning, there's so many different ways to build it, so many different ways to go around, whether you want to exit, whether you want to scale it, whether you want to do whatever. There's so many different things. So when it comes to the point of you being in LA, what was that like for you, that experience?
Changed everything.
Yeah.
First time, it was my first, actually not first time in the US, but the first time by myself in the US, like really, or in LA specifically.
Yeah.
In 2019, thankfully go back to LA every year now, but it's changed. LA's changed massively since COVID. But at that time, wow, what an amazing time, man.
What was the pitch that you gave to them?
To this day, I say to people, I ain't got a clue. It was so funny because I remember specifically, obviously you go to the Snapchat headquarters in Santa Monica, and I walked into the room. No hi, no what's your name, no nothing, timer, 10 minutes to sell your dream. Like what's your pitch? And to this day, I don't know, I could not tell you. And I wrote it down a bit, and I wish I could find it.
10 minutes is a long for a pitch, long time.
A long time, man. And I think obviously the adrenaline just kind of took over to where you blank. It's internet, like when you do your exam and you step out and you just blank out. You don't know what you wrote. Yeah. Similar kind of situation, like just sold it.
Yeah.
And that was that, man.
Okay, so let's just say you blacked out in that moment there, yeah? When did you have a recollection of what just happened and the outcome?
When I stepped out, like I was just calm, I was smiling and I felt good. Like, you just know you've done something good.
Yeah. Did they tell you there and then?
No. Okay. Literally next day they called and said, yeah, we want to invest in you.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
What was that feeling like? That call right there.
I thought I was the Mark Zuckerberg, bro. I thought I was the social exited billion. Literally. Because again, like, no one to where I come from has ever done anything like that. You know what I mean? And even to this day, like to get like a massive tech company to invest in, you don't really hear much about it. So and they can go into LA and all this other stuff. Like back then, didn't know much about YC. Like so, like it was just back then I thought, that's it, made it. Yeah, that's it. I'm clear. I'm gone. So but far from it though at that time. Looking back at it.
Yeah, but alhamdulillah, it's got you there now.
Alhamdulillah, yeah.
But what was it? A case of them giving you money? You got given percentage?
So they gave us 150k.
Yeah.
For 6% of our company. So
that's good.
Yeah, no, it's good times.
That's good, bro.
Good times, very, very good times. Yeah.
Okay. What did you do with that 150k?
You know what? Everyone always says. Everyone asks that questions like when they hear about our story, and it even at the time when we pitched, bro, we didn't really know what we were gonna do. Like, it's just like we had an idea in terms of roughly what we wanted to do, but literally in terms of how we split making 150. Like to this day, like you give me 150, we probably have a rough idea in terms of where things are going or what we're investing in. But back then, that. No clue.
Yeah. I think maybe gone.
What that gave us is time. Okay. That's the biggest thing it gave us. Time to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
Like rather than anything in terms of, hiring people or, putting money into here, trying the things, that just gave us time. Like I knew I didn't have to go back home and I'd go back to London, apply for a job, and I knew I was good for a year and a half. Mm-hmm. So it gave us that leeway to really figure out, cool, how do we take this to the next level now, you know?
Was it a pretty instant cash transfer?
Every quarter at a time. So like over the 6 months, it was like it was like 50.
But from when they said they're going to invest in you, did you have to wait long or not?
No. Okay. Quite instant. I think they gave us the first batch of 50k.
Yeah. That allowed you to buy that time.
Exactly, and stuff. But again, it was quite, and LA's expensive. We had to use a bit of money for rent and stuff. So a lot of money went out just living in it's expensive.
Yeah.
But it was just the whole experience and the people we met and the sit downs with like Mark Cubans, the Gary Vaynerchuks, and that gave us the whole access of just entrepreneurship in the US. And as you know, it's a different level compared to the UK. Completely just different. Yeah. Different animals over there.
From what I could have imagined is, previous to that, you had the Facebook meeting. And I thought, okay, you might have put 150k all into ads as you'd learned about it, So then once you'd bought that time and you'd figured it out, what was your strategy from there? Because I'm assuming that plans changed a little bit so you could make it more cash flow business. Or?
Of course, yeah. Literally, that was the kind of the next step. Was like, cool. We kind of know how to make we know roughly how to make back then, how to make content, how to make things go viral.
Yeah.
But how do we actually kind of turn this to a thing where we make money?
Yeah.
And monetize of videos and brand deals and agency and all this other stuff. Like we just had no clue on how that side of the thing worked, So but obviously with the time and just meeting people, like it kind of gave us that infrastructure eventually, which allowed us to obviously secure brand deals or start making money on like places like Snapchat and ad revenue and all that other stuff. So it's just just gave us time to just really figure stuff out.
What's the biggest cash cow for you now then?
The biggest cash cow? So Snap to this day.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, Snap. What I say to people.
They pay you on views?
Yeah, ad revenue. So similar, same thing with YouTube. Exact same thing, and Facebook, how it works. But I think what I say to people, Snapchat's probably like the biggest kept secret in the industry. Like no one really speaks about how much people like Snap, like, or how much people can make from Snap.
Yeah.
And it does obviously vary. Like it doesn't mean every that you go in there you're gonna kill it and you're gonna make a good amount. But people who I know and people within that kind of circle, like it's crazy. So,
without saying names, you don't have to say names. And it don't even have to be yourself either. But what's the most you've seen from a Snapchat payout in a month?
Firstly, let me go back in terms of when I realized Snap could be something. I remember after like the LA kind of with the Snapchat deal, one of our members within the Snap ecosystem, like they were kind of one of the first to kind of go into that the Snapchat ecosystem in terms of revenue stuff. And it was like, tell us how much they can make, like, or how much they made that month. And I think at the time it was like 5K or 10K that month. And I was like, whoa, what? You can really like make money off that? I didn't know. And that's when things kind of clicked. But then, probably the most I've seen ever was probably 500, 600K a month. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say pounds.
Nah.
Like 500-600K.
Yeah.
Is that an individual or a business? Or like a similar to what you do?
Yeah, individual / business. I want to say like a massive kind of infrastructure.
Pounds?
Dollars.
That is mental.
Yeah, it's crazy. But obviously, like again, people would hear that and see that, but that's not like it's not realistic for everyone. Yeah, if that makes sense. But like, there was a lot of money to be made from Snap. To this day, there still is, but there was a specific moment in time where
But that's almost sounding like Mr. Beast payout figures sort of thing.
People, it's crazy.
Which, if we look at it on a YouTube perspective, getting to them figures, like to be paid out $500,000-$600,000 a month, you have to be hitting billions of views, I think. Billions, let alone a million, let alone what Mr. Beast makes.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like I said, that's why I kind of felt like, it still is. That's why a lot of people don't really speak about Snap. Yeah. Kind of trying to gatekeep the whole
so
stuff.
You're putting everyone on right now.
Yeah, but it's hard. No one could get into Snap right now.
Why not?
Just how things have kind of changed.
Yeah, is it?
Whereas before, like it was easier to kind of get a show. Again, you have to kind of approve pitch and approve to kind of get a show. Whereas like now, it's like
I remember one of my friends, the old magician. He was telling me maybe a year ago, 2 years ago. He was like, "Get a Snapchat show. Get a Snapchat show." I'm thinking, bruv, if it was that easy to get a Snapchat show, then I would.
Yeah, no, it was.
But how can you actually just go and get a show, stuff like that? Yeah. So aside from Snapchat, because if that's a hard thing for people to get into right now, what would you say is the other way for you to make money?
So branded content, which I'm sure similar your
like sponsors and stuff.
Yeah, sponsors or brand deals, campaigns. The more, I guess, realistic ways on how to kind of make a decent income. Yeah. So fortunately, we've worked with the likes of like Gymshark, Spotify. We've done stuff with Valentino, Nivea. So we've done quite a few brands.
How does your branded content work? I haven't actually seen it, to be honest with you.
It's good. So I think with us, I think we're very fortunate in terms of our content. Like, you don't really know, unless you read the comments and tags and all that stuff. Because obviously, it's all about the story, man, and how we tell stories. Yeah. So, like you scroll through, everyone says that. I don't see brands, but yeah.
Okay, so it's I get what you're saying. So it might be
you won't see like a logo of the brand. But it might be interviews,
subliminal message or something like that.
Paid by XYZ brand to speak about XYZ subject or XYZ story. Yeah. Like, so it'll be Dose Society powered by XYZ. They might have like a little stat. This brand, mental health percentages up, blah, 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 blah. They have this service, for example.
It's almost like, you're familiar with Simon Squibb, I'm assuming?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so he'll have sometimes where he'll do the what's your dream sort of thing.
Exactly, because it's the same, very similar. You won't know if it's a brand or not. Yeah.
And then he'll say something about, let's just say, Chase Bank, for example, Help Bank or something like that.
Exactly.
Granted that Help Bank's his thing, but he does somehow, somewhere, put in other brands to say, oh yeah, these guys will help you and all that. Branded Give content. Them a little tag. But because it's still authentic content, they're still watching it. So how would you say is the best way for someone who wants to make authentic content right now in today's day and age? The reason why I say today's day and age is because we've got so much content. Everywhere. It's what's the word? It's drowning the market essentially, right? And if you want to look at it in a business perspective, going into an oversaturated market may not be the greatest idea. But let's just say someone still wanted to do it. How would you do it?
What I'll say to people is emotionally led content. like for example, with those society, like the first 3 seconds, you're most likely going to feel something. And with most people's content, like if you make content as emotionally led, like fear, happiness, sad, inspired, like feel something instantly, like it's probably the easiest way to kind of grow in 2024.
That's what we try and do with our trailers as well. I always say to the guys who make the trailers, I have the title in mind, and off of the back of what I've sent them for the trailer, it's like put in an order where the first 5 to 10 seconds are somewhat emotional. Not emotional.
Of course, but it triggers something in their brain, like you want to learn more. You want to hear more, because again, you might relate to that person's story, or you might feel inspired by that person's story. Do you know what I mean? So you're going to feel something or that specific story. And that's what we do at Dose.
Our aim, I want us to know if it's similar with you, is almost breaking that line of curiosity and making and having people to want more. So then they have to watch the podcast or something like that. Is it the same sort of thing for you?
100%, yeah. Like, what can I learn from this person's story? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Or even people relate to that person's story. Even like, there's many reasons or what emotion people can feel. But again, the best way to grow, man, is emotional storytelling.
Talk to me about team, because at Snapchat, it was still yourself just doing it?
What, now?
No, not now. Before.
Now I had a co-founder. So
Okay, so yourself and the co-founder. Yeah. Now you mentioned before that you got 20 people at the moment all over the world. What was the first point where I suppose you hired, and why did you hire?
Because if once you start making a little bit of money, like if you want to grow, you want to double that or triple that, it's gonna take people. Yeah. There's only so much we can do, and also like there's people better than us.
But what was their roles? What did you hire for?
Producers, editors, just to get more content out. Yeah. So like the basic stuff, like people who understood content.
And you doing all up yourself, the editing and everything like that?
At the start, we were doing everything ourselves, but then eventually, obviously, once we start making a little bit, just kind of put money into that. Because as you know, I'm sure when you start, when it's just long, like editing content is long. But it's good groundwork. You know what I mean? So now you know what you're doing. So it's definitely needed. If you're gonna start, you have to go through that. You know what I mean?
Bro, I say this to everyone, because people always want to make podcasts and stuff like that, and I'll say, okay, cool, but so there's like a few people who make podcasts and they don't have no skill set. They have everyone else do it. They have camera guys, they have audio guys, all of that. And I say to them, if they were all to disappear tomorrow, you are effed. Yeah, done. Because you don't know anything you're doing.
No clue.
Same thing, likewise, I think me and you could say the same thing. If all of our team was to disappear, back to basics, we know exactly what to do.
Yeah, literally, exactly. So it's important to gain those skills. Yeah. Because then you know who you want. If you know if someone's better than you. Yeah. But like you ain't got a clue if someone's good or not, because you ain't done it yourself.
Exactly, yeah.
But obviously, so from there, we just kind of put back in and get editors and then get script writers and really kind of help and build the ecosystem.
Scriptwriter for what?
For like our Snap stuff and like our YouTube content, because it's a different kind of pieces of content.
Yeah. Is the Snap stuff not the same as your Instagram stuff?
Different.
Okay, so what's in your Snap?
So like more like history-led content, crime content, women-led content, various different stuff, but it's more scripted content.
What's the first time? Because I'm currently... Right, so this is an interesting point, right? I haven't told anyone else this before, I'm currently building a system with a partner for the podcast system, from start to finish, to get-go. Or like an AI-centric, equivalent to a Notion sort of thing, but hopefully more orientated for a podcast. Systems help people in many different places, helped me grow this podcast to where it is right now. When's the first time you come across using a system, and how's it helped you?
The first time...
And it doesn't have to be... When I say system, it doesn't have to be a set, like a website or something like that. It could just be a system that you've found that works for you, whether it be creating a WhatsApp group chat or creating some sort of email listing or...
Obviously, I think the first, system, obviously, like WhatsApp group chats, build a team, and if you realise once you start growing, it's too messy because you got your personal life, and you got this person messaging you, and you don't want to be... So it was a mess, but I guess very good start, like group chat, you know what I mean? Yeah. Let's get to work, start brainstorming. So very good place to start. Then I think the biggest thing that kind of clicked for us is obviously Slack. Like Slack was amazing, so it's just what we still use today. It's an amazing tool just to kind of really build an ecosystem of different kind of channels, and this channel's for this, and this person's for this, and you put this thing here, not this thing here. Editors live here, scriptwriters live here. So that was like an amazing, like our probably till this day, like our most used kind of tool to really just kind of keep things in progress and just things ticking,
Yeah, that's it.
But Slack's amazing, man. Slack's amazing.
And then, so you're still using that now?
Yeah, to this day, man, to this day. But yeah, we don't use Notion. Frame's amazing as well. Don't know if you use Frame.io.
Yeah. I use it all the time.
Yeah, it's an amazing system, obviously, to keep content, etc.
Yeah, so the way I used to do it as well was I used to say this podcast right now, I used to send it to you as a YouTube private link for you to, approve it and review it. And then I didn't know about Frame. And then I went to frame and then realized, hold on, if you wanted to make changes, you can comment here and it automatically links out that time code. I was like, yo, that's
perfect.
sick.
Yeah, such amazing.
So
amazing.
that's what I use now all the
It's
time.
an amazing platform, man.
Yeah.
After storage, it's like seamless, and I just send reviews and
Yeah.
editor, can you edit this, take this out? This doesn't powerful.
So what's the dream of you and also society? Like, where do you want to take it?
You know what?
is
Yeah,
it to you?
and I've said this to many people recently, or close friends anyway. Like, I feel like I've dreamt with everything I've wanted.
Yeah.
In like life, like I've always like just kind of I'm a simple person, bro. Like you know what I mean, like a simple life, and alhamdulillah, like I feel like I've done everything, not everything, but like I dreamed up to this point, you know.
Look, alhamdulillah, I respect that and I appreciate that, and I think that's a great thing, mashallah. Yeah, but I was like that as well, and it's a scary thing because if you've got everything you've dreamt of, it's like, where do you go from there? And you could get sidetracked or lost. Would you say? Or
no, it's very possible. 100%. Like, it's very possible because I feel like it is, even for me, it's time to kind of like dream again. You know, even like those society, everyone asks like in terms of like exit this, that, and to this day, it's like we're just having fun with it. Like, alhamdulillah, it's still something that we love and something that we enjoy doing and telling stories. So, but in terms of like, like what's that next step? Like, again, I think it's literally going back to the drawing board in terms of, you know, what's that next level for myself personally, and of course, what's that next level for like the business. So but for now, it's just keeping things how things are going and consistently growing, consistently taking things to the next level, which is obviously quite simple in simplest terms. Everyone wants that, right?
has Dose Society got a website?
Literally about to launch a new website. Probably by the time this out will be out.
Okay,
right now, it's like a normal landing page.
What do you do with a website?
Emails.
I was gonna say, are you capturing data like emails and stuff like that? Off the back of what?
Well, my guy Chase, he's the main guy in terms of like our email listings.
Yeah.
So I've got into products now, commerce.
Yeah.
That's something new that we're taking things with Dose Society. Kind of, you know, building a commerce store in terms of Dose Society. Like, what can we sell?
Yeah.
But also that's gonna add value to people that follow Dose Society. So something we've been working on for the past just under a year now, you know. So far so good.
So there's a guy I know, he runs a podcast called Freshly Grounded, Faisal. Lives out in Dubai. Alongside his podcast, which was a great idea, he sold what's called The Game. I think it's called The Game. Or just a pack of cards with a series of questions on it that you
doing
ask
very
someone.
something similar like ours as well.
I was gonna say that would be sick.
100%.
Because it gets
Definitely.
the people thinking and how to have a conversation with the similar sort of way that they see videos on Instagram or TikTok or Snapchat.
Yeah.
You know, to have those conversations one-on-one with any next person.
Definitely. So we launched something called it's in my bag as well. I might bring it and show it to you. So we launched something called Dare to Share.
Yeah.
So it's a card game, kind of literally just packaged up our questions into a card game.
Yeah.
But it's kind of based around levels.
Yeah.
So like green's like very kind of more simplified terms, or like simple questions like, not what's your dream, but very simple stuff. Orange just gets a bit heated. Red gets a bit more deep and a bit more personal, but it allows people to kind of, you know, get vulnerable, get to know each other, but also have fun with it as well.
Yeah.
It's like a game, like, you know, get gamified. So yeah, this is the baby now. So even here it says,
so this isn't out yet, or it's
no, it's out now, but like it's out, but like we haven't even fully launched it properly in terms of dose. It's not a bio and stuff, but we haven't kind of really mixed too much of our content.
Yeah.
So yeah, as you hear it says, like a card game for the conversations you've always wanted to have but didn't know kind of, you know, where to start.
Yeah.
How to play. It's got kind of like power play cards, and so yeah, as you know, it's got green cards, orange cards, and red cards. So for example, an orange card is, you know, what do you think is the biggest misconception people have about you, basically? And off this, worth 2 points.
Oh, that's the easy one, yeah?
Easy one. I know it's quite,
That's not an easy one, bro. I'm thinking of that right now. I don't even know.
Then after the middle one is what do you need to hear right now?
Okay.
4 points.
Yeah.
Then the red one is, what is a feeling you're longing for? Then here there's like more kind of power play cards, like we'll have like wild cards where you can ask kind of any question.
Yeah.
But we've kind of gamified it because we feel like a lot of the card games that are out right now, like there was no end.
Yeah.
You just play and you just stop when you don't want to stop. So
how does it work exactly? So you split that deck between two of you, or?
Yeah, or group of people. So obviously all the instructions are here in terms of how to play and whatnot.
Yeah.
So you'd probably take about roughly like 3 of each, for example. Then it's simple, just kind of mix it around. Then you get playing literally from there. So mix, and yeah.
How did you come up with the idea of this, and why did you think to add commerce to Dose Society?
Since in 2000 and where are we now? 2024.
Yeah.
Probably to end of 2021. had this kind of idea in terms of we wanted to do commerce.
Yeah.
Wanted to sell something. And as you know, the first thing we thought about, merch.
Is this just to add a branch to
add a branch? Like I said, how do you make more money? And as you know, like commerce was like cool.
Yeah.
As Shopify was growing and people see a lot of YouTube videos, thought, cool, we've got a small following. How are we able to kind of monetize obviously our audience, but at the same time add value?
Yeah. First
easy thing was, as you know, merch. But again, we flirted with it, had a few designs sketched out. But again, we said to ourselves, what's the real value of like someone actually buying a hoodie or etc. for us anyway? And I think there is value, but I think it has to be thought out properly before dropping anything anyway. So we didn't kind of go to that. And we're just kind of brainstorming and card games. You know, there was interesting card games like Cards Against Humanities and a few other kind of card games. And it was like, what would a card game at Dose to Society look like?
Yeah.
And from there, man, we just started just brainstorming. Took months, 6, 7, 8 months just to kind of get like our first basic concept, not even like product.
Yeah.
Like just how the game works, like on a Google Doc, 140 questions, and does this question work? Should we add this? How's the gameplay? What are other people doing? So it took quite a lot of time to really just figure out what was needed for most people in our audience, and of course outside our audience.
Yeah.
And again, our biggest thing was how can we add value to people, and I feel like obviously cool, create a card game is great, but it's like how can we gamify where people can still have fun and also be vulnerable at the same time. So I think that was missing in the market at the time.
I've thought of something as well, right? Prior to knowing that you got this, it is like a card game, and I've got the content strategy behind it and everything like that. And I'll tell you, I might cut this out depending on when this podcast comes out, or I might have already done it by then. If I have, links in the bio. But what my idea is almost like this, right? But business orientated questions that is able to break down someone in terms of making them think outside the box. So, for example, you might be telling me about your story and I might be like, okay, cool. What is the most what's the best business advice you've ever received? Those sort of questions on cards, that some of the questions that I basically ask someone on a podcast.
Yeah.
Have those and call it CEO cards, not Ceocast. And then as for the content strategy as well for YouTube anyway, literally bring 2 strangers to the table, have a curtain go in the middle at first. One person have already been here, and literally on that show, drop the curtain. They don't know who's behind them, who they're talking to, and anything like that. And then you have the same cards like here, pick up one, and you start breaking down.
Powerful, bro.
All that sort of stuff.
Powerful, it'd be amazing. Needed. Needed in the sense of like, because again, as you know, you get caught up in the world of business, you just building. But even little stuff like this, like having conversations between like entrepreneurs or like it's hard sometimes,
Do you know what I've noticed? Yeah, I thought it was pretty much a natural thing, right? Because for example, me and you, obviously we met before. We went to a dinner that CJ hosted in Dubai, and we were there, and all of us were pretty much asking questions that we kind of already would, like networking questions or businessy sort of questions. Like, that's second nature to us. But I've been out with people before that they're like, why are you asking this? How do you know this question? Why are you asking this question? And then I've clocked, what we have is almost like a superpower where we're asking these questions. So the purpose of this game that I'd want to make is to almost be able to have provide that ability, someone to learn that ability. So yes, they might be playing a game, but the next time they go and meet a stranger, maybe a networking event or business event or something like that, they know exactly what to ask and how to break them down.
As we said before, bro, there's 101 ways to build a business. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So like my story, you might find similarities or you might find differences, but again, my story might be able to, you might have been there. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Or vice versa, you might have been somewhere where I'm trying to get to. Do you know what I mean? So, but it's like without me sitting down with you an hour, it might take an hour and a bit for you to say that one point. Because I might not know you went through it and you're pretty much not even thinking about it anymore. But like when you come to like a setting like this and you kind of, be able to kind of allow people to be vulnerable, allow people to ask questions without feeling like, why asking that question like randomly? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, but that'll be powerful. That's something that's definitely needed for the market and for especially young people to really understand like just what it's as you know what the school system's like. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Obviously entrepreneurship looks cool when you see it on TikTok and whatnot, and it's amazing. People are getting into it. It's great. But it's like I think if there was like some sort of structured way for like young people to understand a little taste, or even like if they were like, I don't know, in the school settings and there was someone runs their own business and they were to ask questions like, do you know what I mean? Because it might be daunting for them. They don't know what questions to ask maybe. Do you know what I mean? So
people to break out of the bubble. Yeah, that'll be the plan. But I want to come to this part. If someone was to come, Dose Society is exitable because there's not so much of a face attached to it, right? But let's just say someone was to come and make an offer. What is it they're making an offer for? If you used to say to them, let's just say Homozy wanted to buy Dose Society. What would you say to Homozy this is what we offer, this is everything we do laid out.
I think obviously our audience, like we're really known for what we do. Like, so when you come to Dose Society, you know what you're looking for. You know what you want to learn. You know you want to be inspired. You know you want to even maybe conversate with people on like in the comments in terms of, you know what, I've been through this situation. Like, I'd love to learn more. You know, so it's really like building an audience of people of powerful stories that, again, you might watch a story on Dose Society and be like, I've been through that. And I ain't heard anyone speak about that before. Yeah. So it's like, and it's very, like even our concept is very, very simple. Like we're speaking about topics that everyone has gone through in their life, you know, some sort of way. So it's like, that value of building an audience of just positivity, being able to learn from one another. So even now we're looking to build like events, online events, offline events. So really kind of take Dose Society to that next level. Like our kind of 3 key pillars right now is content, community, commerce. Okay. So obviously building our kind of like our content strategy out, which obviously you see what is today. Yeah. Like from there, building our online and offline community, utilizing our content that people come together, coming with, and then our kind of commerce, not just the card game as well. What other products can we launch that will add value? Because again, I like what you just said about, you know, specifically what you're thinking about, because you know that will add value to your audience, but also to other people as well at the same time, and that's powerful. Yeah. And I think when you've kind of got something that you know will add value to others or could add value, like you've got something, you know? Yeah. Whereas like, again, like merch, it's great, but it's like how much would a piece of clothing add value to my audience's life, you know? Literally. It's low-hanging fruit.
I used to think about this all the time, because when I made the first batch of these Ceocast tops, right, I would even say to myself, to be honest with you, I wouldn't wear this out and about because I think it's too, what's the word? I don't know the exact word for it, but I just wouldn't wear it out and about because she's like, yo, look at me, sort of thing. Yeah. Or what does Ceocast actually represent to a stranger who's looking at it? So I was like, okay, now let's wipe merch off, because I don't think someone watching this podcast think, okay, I want a t-shirt.
Merch, merch can go like there's many different ways and concepts on where merch can go well for specific like creators. For example.
I think it depends on who it is and what their value or what it is they're providing in their content or in their actual influence as opposed to anything else.
100%. I feel like if you're gonna launch merch, it has to be like you're going for it. Yeah. Even for example, what Sharky and his Cards and AV launched with Primo, like. Amazing, man.
What did they launch?
So he's Primo Family Club. So like it's proper clothing. Yeah. Like again, initially when people look at other kind of creators, like they'll look, or say have their logo or their name, and again, but is that really adding value? Yeah. But it's like when trying to build like a company that's actually, you know, like high quality and trying to literally disrupt that clothing industry, and then you're getting dead then you're not really attaching your face to it too much. Exactly. You know that person's
it's almost like you're endorsing it as opposed to knowing that that's yours.
Exactly. And it's like this again, it's adding value, trying to build a community around it rather than trying to build a community around one specific person or specific group, you know? Yeah. And I think it worked back in the days when socials was first early 2010s, etc. And maybe it would have worked, I'm sure, because it was so new. But I think as where socials matured now, I think people are really looking at like what adds value, you know?
And do you know what, on that note there as well, I'll tell you another thing. So one of my friends, back in 2019, this is like a full, if it goes ahead, full circle moment, because the very first person I was on a podcast with, was one of my friends who has a clothing line. His clothing line is basically formal, smart shirt sort of thing, right? And more in my head, I've been thinking, you know, I meet good people. Whenever I do meet these people, I tend to be dressing smart, formally, all that sort of stuff. He's not really running that business anymore. It's still active. He's still got stock. I was thinking, you know what, let me buy it off him, touch up the branding a little bit. That's something I can wear on the podcast, market it. That goes hand in hand with being a CEO. It's not big roasted Ceocast on it, so that's something I'm thinking of as well.
Stuff like that, I can say, I think intentionally going to something like merch or in the world of commerce, you have to be intentional about it now. Do you know what I mean? Like I think social games matured. You can't just like, again, it's very hard to slap on your logo on something and thousands or millions of people would want to wear it. Do you know what I mean?
Like, they used to happen a lot in like 2015. You know, any of the big YouTubers, Logan Paul, Jake Paul, KSI,
whatever. Anything job. Yeah. You know what I mean? But like no one's going down that strategy now. Like you see it now. Like it's very rare for creators or influencers or people of business, for example, to launch something. It's just like their logo. Do you know what I mean? So I think everyone's moving to this place of value and as you know, I think people are craving. I think why Dose Society has been successful because there's value when you're watching the content. You know what I mean? So people know what to expect.
Yeah, fairs. I forgot what I was gonna say. What do you think is the biggest mistakes that people are making nowadays online in terms of making content or building a platform? What would you say?
I don't know. I think probably the biggest mistakes that people are making right now, I think two things. Either two things. Not starting even myself, for example.
Yeah.
I think I've been telling you I wanted to personal brand, not personal brand. Should I do it? Should I not do it? Again, I've been behind the scenes for a while, and I should just do it, taste it. If I like it, great. I've done it, you know. So I know I like it. But if I don't like it, like I said to you, I'll just take a step back.
Yeah.
But I know I've actively done something, and I don't like it, so I can't. So you know what I mean, I can live with myself. I tried, not for me, no problem.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people aren't starting enough, and I think also when people do start and it's an overkill, they don't know when to switch it up, or how to switch it up, or not know when to tone it down, or when to change, or when to try add something different. You know. Yeah. So I think it's a balance of knowing when to, doing simple terms, and also knowing when you've done something for a long time, something's not moving. What changes do you have to make something different? Because most people end up quitting, which is understandable. They have their reasons. Yeah. But little tweaks, little changes here and there could be a massive, massive difference to that person's business. But some people, I think, and it's the hardest part, knowing when to pivot. A lot of businesses have been there where they made millions or they've lost millions on a specific idea, and those are massive turning points for people's businesses. Can pay off and could do the opposite, but they've tried, they've done something, you know.
I think it's all about persevering and pushing through.
Have to, man. Yeah. Have to. Consistency, and also taking risks as well. I think working hard and being consistent will get you to a certain level, probably make you an amazing employee. But I think taking risks, like big risks, is what separates people, like in terms of like real success in the world of business. Like taking risks, and whether it's moving to other countries or, traveling or putting a small bit of investment into a specific thing that could benefit your business, or, doing something that's quite risky that can pay off, or do the complete opposite. But a lot of people play it safe,
You just said something there that I forgot. You just said something there that I can't believe I haven't even mentioned yet. The fact that you travel so much, right? I see you at events. I've seen you go to different countries just for maybe a day or something like that. Yeah. Like, how is it that this has allowed you to travel? What's the purpose of the traveling?
So I think it got to a certain point where like things were like, in the business was good, and like we were growing, and again that risk element is like, cool, what's gonna separate us and take us to the next level? Of course, creating content and going viral and all this other stuff. But like I've always wanted to meet interesting people, like top people of business, or like a specific athlete, for example. And again, because you can learn so much from all these different types of people. And so it's like, I can't remember what year, maybe 2022 or 2021, maybe 2022, I think. It was like, cool, this year we're just going to travel to every event we wanted to do. We're going to put a bit of money to the side and see what happens. If it pays off, then great, we'll keep on going to these events. If it doesn't pay off, like we've done it, same thing with the personal brand. Let's just do, it works, amazing. If not, we've done.
Back off a bit,
we back off a bit, or like we've tried, we tasted it.
Yeah.
And we're just going to many events, man. Then it was end up in like Formula Ones and the paddocks, and
that's sick. Are the events where you get invited for it, or do you have to apply for it?
Slowly now. So initially, it was all kind of investments. Yeah. Like just putting our own money, like costly to a lot of these stuff. Yeah. And just trying out, man, and just testing and meeting people, and trying to create great contacts. People appreciate it. I think especially like, again, like my friend Chase would say, and he's seen me a lot in these different environments. Like when we get in front of people, like big people, like we're coming out with something, like, whether it's number or contact, and obviously something can develop and won't develop, but like alhamdulillah, like me and my co-founder very, very confident to speak to anyone, and you've been grateful, man. We've met so many different types of interesting characters, of people of business, people of athletes, and it's been an amazing journey. Just being able to travel and just being able to meet people, different cultures, just learning, man. Like people kind of get stuck here in the UK, and there's a world out there where you can just learn and as you know, we've been Dubai together. Like, what an amazing city, man. Yeah. Like, 'cause it's a different city over there. So it's just different energy when you travel, as you know, right? When you meet people of different businesses or different calibers. You kind of get, once you travel, you get that bug and realize how boring London can be sometimes. And
you just want to get out of it.
You just want to get out and just meet people. And again, it's that, for me, it's just the idea of like, again, taking risks. Like, I know being able to get in front of X, Y, Z could potentially change something, or add a certain extension, or add value into my personal life or just business life in general. It was like, I realized just staying in the UK, thinking for me personally, it could only get me so far, I think anyway. Yeah. Again, 101 ways, I don't take my word for it, but 101 ways to build a business. But for me, I was like, cool, traveling is one way I think I can kind of elevate myself contacts, learn from people, and also just the business itself.
100% agree, bro.
It's paid off, you know.
Yeah,
So
100% agree. Was there any point in the business or your whole journey so far where you thought, nah, I can't do this, I'm quitting?
You know what? Never quitting. Tough, many times, man. Many times just question myself, doubting myself. But the idea of like quitting, should I stop, get a job? Like, nah, like never. Alhamdulillah, never.
Alhamdulillah.
Whereas like I've never kind of, actively searched, I was not going well. Should I look for a job, or should I do this, or
Yeah.
I knew like just the mission. I knew that there was something in this.
Yeah.
There was not many people doing it at the time, And at the start, man, everyone was like, what the hell are you doing? Bothering people on the streets, like, And obviously, like, it gets to you at the start, but you just got to develop that, that rhino skin, toughness. I'm sure you probably had it at your start. Like, what are you doing speaking to people? Like, do something valuable, go get a job or all this other stuff. But I knew there was something in this. And also, I was young enough at the time that I didn't have much to lose. And I knew I had everything to gain.
Yeah.
And when you got nothing to lose in life, how can you lose?
Yeah, nothing. You can't. Yeah.
There's no such thing as losing. Like, you're going to learn, or something's going to come out of it regardless.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But like I always say to people, especially like, early teens, like early 20s, no, late teens, early 20s, like, bro, take as much risk as possible. Especially if you're living at home, no rent to pay, like you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Do it.
Because as you know, when you get to that a bit older and you start settling down and married and kids and stuff, like it's harder, Even myself, like I got married young and I was still taking risks, I got married 22.
Okay, but that's young, but it's not that young.
I know, but like for like kind of the rest of the world, but in doing what I'm doing,
yeah.
Like not having a stable job, like that was obviously a massive risk. But alhamdulillah, my wife understood the journey and what I was.
You said you got kids as well, right?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, 2 kids.
Alhamdulillah. How old are they?
3 and 7 months now.
So you got a lot going on in life, bro. Running the business, running the marriage, running and being a dad.
Trying,
it's
man.
crazy, bro.
Alhamdulillah, like I'm grateful that I started young. Because I think if I tried to start it now, different, man.
Really?
I think so. I haven't done it, so I couldn't tell you. Yeah. But just mentally, just knowing just what life is like right now for me.
Yeah.
Trying to start something now, like even people like when they're at a certain stage of like specifics, like I've got kids and house and blah blah blah. How do I start? Like I don't know what to say to them because I haven't been there.
So you got married. What year was that then?
2017. 7 years.
Okay, so every Muslim that I speak to says that when they get married, there's a whole lot of barakah that's introduced into their life, yeah.
But in kids, it's a different level of barakah.
And here's the interesting thing about it, because if you got married in 2017, firstborn was when?
2021.
2021.
Yeah. And
if I backtrack into this podcast about timeline, dates and everything like that, Facebook, Snapchat, things taken off, I'm not going to say it's aligned with like your life and marriage, but
it's aligned. Like people say, like in terms of the kid, like
the proof is there.
No, literally proof was there. Honestly, bro. Like even when I knew obviously prepping for marriage, saving and all this marriage and stuff. Obviously, I then contemplate and you know what I mean. Like obviously not making enough money, but like again the vision. My wife believed in it. I believed in it. And like it was a massive risk at that time.
Yeah.
But like I was just so dedicated to what I was doing, and I just knew deep down. I just didn't know when. But I knew deep down that something was going to happen. Yeah. And alhamdulillah, just before like a big event was going to happen in my life, like things were okay. But the kid stuff, that's when things, that's when everything just kind of changed. Your life changed, as the normal kind of aspect. Like kids just add so much value to your life into the next level.
Give you the extra push and determination.
Just extra push, just extra motivation, everything. Your life becomes dumb,
Yeah.
So at the same time, being able to kind of build a business and knowing you're doing, like, it adds something to it. And obviously, as you know, there's people who probably don't have kids and building a business and be able to maybe do a bit more stuff. But alhamdulillah, man, it adds an extra different drive and motivation to what I do, why I do, and how I do. So man, it's just blessings.
Alhamdulillah, man. Here's what I'm gonna finish up the podcast. Right, the beautiful thing about content is that it lives forever, as you would know. Yeah, and inshallah, your kids grow up and they see this podcast with their dad on here. If you had to leave a message for them watching this podcast, what would you say to them?
What I would say, honestly, anything is possible, man, in this world. Honestly, anything is possible. Anything is possible. With a little, obviously, bit of hard work and obviously dedication, taking the right risks, like anything is possible. Because again, I think we live in a world where you're told no, don't do this, don't do that, and everyone tries to dictate your life. And maybe, of course, in especially with parents, but everyone has the right intentions.
Yeah.
Many people don't have like the wrong intentions and try to do this. So everyone has the right intentions, but you have to sometimes just, that gut instincts or whatever's calling out for you, you have to believe in it and chase it. Obviously in a respectful terms, because at the end of the day, like, you don't want to disrespect your parents or do something that's gonna upset them and whatnot. But like, anything is possible, man. And I feel like in this day and age, I feel like kids, young kids specifically, are just kind of being pushed in a certain direction.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have it in them. They want to do stuff, but hard to build up that courage. And again, the whole world's telling you no. And deep down, at the end of the day, you have to tell yourself yes. You're the first person ever who's going to tell you, yes, you can do this, So you have to be the first believer, because if you don't, you probably won't end up doing it if you don't believe in yourself. So always believe in yourself. You can achieve anything and chase those dreams.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, bro. Well, if people want to find you on socials, hopefully, inshallah, you're going to be tapping more into their personal brand now and everything.
That's it, man. This is, like I said, I ain't done the podcast. I had a few requests.
I appreciate it, bro.
So had to do the first one here, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, bro, guy. Appreciate it. But if people want to find you on socials, where can they do so?
Instagram, playing around with TikTok these days.
Yeah.
Faid, AFAIDD. So find me.
Right, I'm gonna.
Or Dose Society, you can find me there sometimes as well.
Yeah, all the links are gonna be in the description anyway, bro. I want to thank you ever so much for coming on the podcast, my guy. And hopefully we could do a part 2 in the future once I've built the commerce side. Once you've seen me build a platform to, as I said in the beginning, you're inspiration to myself, because the branches you've done are branches that I want to commit to in the future as well. And I think inshallah, that's why I wanted to get you on, because I was like, sometimes I do podcasts selfishly, not for the audience, but for myself, just to sit down with Guy,
of course, and learn from
him myself.
It's powerful, but what's amazing is that, like, again, you're able to, you've built a platform that others can also learn at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm
again,
learning,
exactly, you've also you're adding value to your audience. So it's like, even what I'd say to a lot of people similar to yourself is like, what's that next level of value that you can add to your audience now?
Yeah.
So we start thinking about that. Like, I don't know if you've done events or community. I think community is a massive thing when people sleep on it,
Yeah, so inshallah, community is massive. So literally off the back of that, so I'll tell you the things like the branches that are being planned and going on as we speak. So we got CEOhub, which is going to be paid community. Then we got the mastermind in December in Dubai. That's going to be followed up with Abu Dhabi F1. I wanted to squeeze in a live event for about 500 people this year, but I feel like it would be too soon to plan everything. I would have done it in September, but planning for next month is a bit mad, so I might do that.
But all this stuff is adding value, man, to your audience. How can you add value? Because I think eventually people, and I've seen a lot of people create content, and it's hard. Like, people don't know how hard making money of content. It's not easy.
Yeah, no, not at all, bro.
I think there's an interesting stat. Or I don't want to quote me from, probably wrong, but like, under 10% actually make a full-time living out of this,
Bro, I'll tell you openly right now as well, and I'll tell the audience as well, for the first 3 years of me making content, so up until, when did I clock it? Probably up until bro, let me put it like this, I'll give you a great example. Andrew Tate episode 2022, the episode's on 5 million views. At the time, he's a big name, For a brand deal, how much would you have charged for that episode?
At the time?
Yeah.
What, as in being, if it was like your first time being approached for a brand, or you asking in
No, just me asking. Because what I used to do is I used to go around to brands that I know, whatever.
Yeah, okay, I've got this guest coming on, for example.
Yeah.
See, initially now, like, if you were to do it now today, like 10k plus, I would assume easy to bring in a brand. But I'm sure, obviously, because I've been the same things, man.
£500.
Yeah, I'm sure, bro. Yeah. Literally, like, we've been there. Like, our first brand deal, you do things for free. So
up until I clocked the model in mid 2022, beginning 2023, I was making less than a average full time. I'm better off working in freaking prep manager or something.
Of course, bro. And you could have quit then, innit? Because again, it's easy ways to make money, but obviously your vision. The same as me, first 3 years, bro, nothing. But obviously, alhamdulillah, obviously the investment helped, and like I said, it gave us time. Yeah. Even when we got that, bro, we weren't making money. Yeah. It took a bit of time. It takes this whole thing, content as well. Yeah. It takes time, man.
I think along with the time is also having the network around it to figure out how exactly,
of course,
you want to learn from someone who's been there and done that, and then figure out how they structured it, and you can just not copy them but get inspired, and then you really clock the game. But once again, bro, I want to thank you very much for coming on. Hopefully we can do part 2 in the future.
Inshallah, bro.
If you lot enjoyed this podcast, got value from it, make sure you subscribe, like, share it to one of your friends who may be in the position that Ahmed was once in and wants to go to as well. So until then, all the links in the description. Subscribe, follow again. Waffling at this point, but catch you on the next episode of Ceocast. Peace.